Stumbling home, we don't know where we're going. Should've turned back hours ago. Out of our minds, I guess we're sleeping outside. You're still a good time, even in the cold.
Hello, welcome to Defender Adventure. We are Paul and Chrissy from the UK, and with our Land Rover Defender that we have called Sterling, we are travelling the world.
Guess we need a new plan. There's a motel a mile down the road.
In our previous video, we had spent the last 3 months living on a float house just off the Prince of Wales Island. This video sees us leaving the island, returning to Ketchikan and taking the Alaska Marine Highway ferry north along the inside passage to a town called Skagway. The ferry journey from Ketchikan to Skagway took a couple of days and made stops at the ports of St. Petersburg, a nighttime stop for us, and Juneau, the capital town of Alaska. The journey along the inside passage is a scenic one and is very popular with cruise ships. With Skagway full of cruise ship passengers, we left the town pretty quickly and after only 14 miles found ourselves at the Canadian border crossing.
After a quick and easy entry and a few more miles, we found a wonderful lakeside location for our first night's wild camping in Canada. We were heading for the Alaskan Interior, but despite the vast size of the two countries, there are only actually 2 roads where you can cross into the interior from Canada. And before crossing into the interior, we wanted to spend some time exploring the Yukon Territory, and we ended up choosing a route that would see us take the northernmost crossing on what is called the Top of the World Highway. Leaving the lakeside the following morning, we made a brief stop at a town called Carcross. Then we stopped to take a photo of Emerald Lake before we reached Whitehorse, the capital town of Yukon. We took the opportunity to stock up with food, water and fuel before heading east out of Whitehorse. Our route ran parallel with the Yukon River, and with some time to spare, we stopped for a short hike in Miles Canyon. Returning back from the hike across the suspension bridge, we then continued our journey to Marsh Lake Campground.
This was our first experience of the Yukon government-operated campground, and we were very impressed. You've got a large site, a table, a fire pit cum barbecue, and we even got free firewood. There was a large number of these campgrounds throughout the Yukon, and we would go on to make use of them a number of times.
After a brief stop the next morning for a coffee in the homely cafe at Johnson's River Crossing, we joined the start of the South Canal Road. The South Canal Road runs 230 kilometres north from Johnson's Crossing up to Ross River, and there are no services of any kind along the way. The North Canal Road continues north of Ross River, but we wouldn't be taking this. We wanted to travel this road to access the wilderness of the south central Yukon, where we had read scenic views could be enjoyed as the road runs along ridges high above the tree line. The first objects of interest were these old cars abandoned by the road construction workers all those years ago. Chrissy was particularly keen on this fixer-upper. We travelled the road slowly and had an overnight stop at a campground called Quiet Lake. We had been disappointed that day with both the weather and the scenery, but the following day certainly made up for it. This was more like it. Late in the afternoon, we reached the end of the South Canal Road at Ross River. We would have to take the ferry across the river if we wanted to continue along the North Canal Road. However, we would head west from Ross River to our overnight stop at Faro.
The following day, we continued our journey west for around 4 hours and came to Stewart Crossing, where we picked up a sign for the Silver Trail. After a spur-of-the-moment decision, we branched off our route and took the Silver Trail north to Mayo and Keno. Both these low-population towns are what remains from the days when silver was being mined.
A short distance from Mayo, we spotted the aftermath of a small forest fire. There were several areas still smouldering, and we stopped to watch a helicopter collecting water from a small lake and dropping its load on the smoking areas. Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the last forest fire we saw in Alaska. Arriving in Keno City, we had just enough time to explore the main town before it got dark. The main point of interest was the mining museum, but as the town has only a population of around 20 people, there wasn't too much else to see here. One thing though that did catch our interest was a sign pointing up a small dirt track to Signpost. We decided to investigate that the following morning.
We drove the 11 kilometres and arrived at the top of the small mountain with some excellent views. With nothing else around for several miles, we're not sure who thought this would be the best location for this signpost. Parking by an abandoned mine, we cooked breakfast, but it was so cold at this elevation that cold congealed scrambled eggs, cold coffee and cold toast didn't really hit the mark. Breakfast was over pretty quickly and we headed back down. Calling in at Mayo, we found the most interesting aspect of this small town to be the cemetery.
After Mayo, our next stop was Dawson City, and this would be the last town in the Yukon before we crossed into Alaska. We would spend a couple of days here before taking the ferry across the Yukon River to the Alaskan border crossing. Dawson City was a base during the Klondike Gold Rush, and the town still retains much of the look from those days. The town's roads are unpaved and there are wooden sidewalks along each side of the road. Many of the buildings still have original facades. While we're sure you can have a great time here, we felt the town was a little cheesy and obviously a tourist trap. But if visiting Diamond Tooth Gertie's gambling hall, panning for gold, or even drinking a sour toe cocktail, which is a drink with a genuine dehydrated human toe in it, if they're your thing, then you'll love it here. But being the boring farts that we are, we used the opportunity here to simply fill up with provisions and fuel and water before taking the ferry.
Right, what are we doing?
Fuel,
Yes?
food,
Yeah,
water,
yeah.
ferry.
Okay.
Hold on. There's a red pump over there.
For that other one.
There's a red pump. Is that?
No, they're normally yellow, aren't they? Oh, here's yellow. Is that yellow? No, that's green. That might do it. But a motorbike with no diesel, would it?
Premium, regular,
Diesel.
mild. What is diesel?
Behind that motorbike. I'll just give him a nudge. Make some room.
Come on, matey. When you're ready.
Oh my god.
And we are still waiting for said biker.
Plays with his helmet more than I do.
Paul, that's not very good. I'm not putting that in.
Oh, come on, man. Can I do a blast on my horn?
No, Vivian. Patience. Harrow.
Well, he could just toodle forward a bit, couldn't he? Look.
How long have we been here? 10 minutes?
I don't know.
Feels like 20.
What's he doing now?
Putting his gloves on. That's one glove. Don't blast. Just be patient.
He sat right in front of the diesel truck.
Well, here we go. I won't put it down to his age because he should know better. But I am putting it down to his age. Oh, look.
What's he doing now? How many gloves was he putting on? I think it was a total surprise to him that we were here.
No, he saw us.
First part done. Go slowly.
Oh, I'm getting wet. All right, for God's sakes. No need for all that. Screaming like a girl.
You'll be screaming like a girl in a minute.
Okay, water, tick. Now to the ferry.
Our first stop in Alaska after crossing the border was Chicken. With only 17 year-round inhabitants, there isn't much to this small town except an old gold dredger and, oh yes, this large chicken. A short distance after Chicken, we stopped for the night at West Fork Campground before arriving in Tote the following morning.
A wholesome breakfast at Fast Eddie's, and we were fueled up for the drive to our next overnight stop at, wait for it, North Pole.
North Pole is a small city known for its year-round Christmas decorations, including candy cane striped street lights.
After saying goodbye to Father Christmas the following morning, we found ourselves continuing on Highway 2 north of Fairbanks. There is a road north of Fairbanks called the Dalton Highway, which runs all the way up to the Arctic Ocean at Prudhoe Bay. Prior to leaving home, we had discussed travelling the Dalton Highway and had agreed that this would be something we wouldn't do. But now that we were here, we found ourselves being drawn to the adventure. And it is from the Dalton Highway that we will continue our journey in our next video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Goodbye.